Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello. This session we are going to discuss about lean startup. We are just going to introduce the topic, and then in the next subsequent two sessions we will be carrying forward the concept. Things are changing so fast that you think of developing a product now, and then you end up developing within a year or so. Chances are very high that by the time you will be ready with a product, there will be a competing product. Perhaps they will arrive even before expiry of 1 year, and then you may actually end up remaining chasing other people, other technology leaders. So, it is very important to build a product in minimum time, so that you are not a laggard, you are rather a leader in the technology, in the domain that you are thinking of developing a product. Now, even if you develop a product and the product is kind of well accepted by the market at the beginning, and you have kind of looking at growth, then suddenly there will be surprises, like it is not always necessary that early acceptance of product by some early customers will translate into growth moving forward. So, that is why it is important to understand the product adoption curve or technology adoption cycle. So, new technology comes to the market, it is not always necessary that everybody will be welcoming it. There will be some people who are excited about new technologies. So, they are kind of innovator people. So, they will adopt it, and you may get a false notion that it is well accepted, and then move forward, you spend a lot of money, then eventually you may find that other people are not adopting it. So, understanding the different types of people and their mentality, their requirements, in particular their risk appetite, it is very important to really move forward or plan accordingly. Then there are like even before you develop a product, there are different processes like linear process, circular process. Linear process is a step by step process, a well established R&D method, where you define a problem and then gradually you try to ideate, develop a product, and then go to market. Alternately, there is a validated learning process that you engage with customer at the very beginning, and then gradually with their support, with their feedback, you keep on directing your direction of product development, so that at the end you know that customers themselves are liking it, because they were there all through the product development life cycle. So, just a basic introduction about product adoption cycle or technology diffusion process. Technology comes and then it gets gradually diffused into the majority of the population. Sometimes even it gets to say 10% of the population, new technology arrives, and then old technology is obsolete. VCR technology is one of that. It came, and then people became accustomed to it. Then suddenly there was the CD and CD drive, and then CD player. So, DVD player, and then nobody wanted to use VCR. It was kind of not so funky technology, because VCR had its own technological problems, reusability, then the tape used to get tangled, etc. So, let us see what kind of people are there. There are more or less 5 kinds of people. One kind of people, they are very minority, they are called innovator kind of people. They are adventurous, they are quite educated, they may or may not be educated, but then they are not bothered about risk. They want to be the first to use any product. You introduce something, they are excited about the new things, and they would like to buy, and they would like to not only buy, Suppose you are building a software. So, this guy will try to buy that, or maybe you give him a free sample or at a subsidized rate. So, he will use it, and then he will find the bugs and then come back to you saying that, I noticed some bugs and I have already troubleshooted it, and then this is the solution. So, you have a free solution from this kind of guys. Solution is not the main criteria. Criteria is that these guys are ready to test your product and then give feedback. Not only that, they are kind of forgiving about the aesthetics. You do not have to really make a wonderful packaging, or say if it is a hardware, then they do not care about the aesthetics of it. So, they just are okay with new product and excited about using them. They will be talking to their friends and relatives and colleagues, so that other people also come to know, because they will be telling them, because they get that excitement by telling other people that, look, I am using this and this, nobody knows about it, something like that. Then there are early adopters. They constitute about 13.5% of the population. They are also educated, they are kind of leaders in their respective field, but then they need bit of validation. They do not jump into some new technology. They will see whether some people have validated, like in customer validation, you give 3 star, 4 star, 5 star. At least they want to see that, okay, out of 5 people who bought, how many people have given 5 star. So, even if there are 5 people who have used it, they are okay with that, provided they have given good number of stars. So, this kind of feedback helps them. At the same time, they are okay with little bit of bugs here and there. So, they will be complaining, but at the same time they are okay, because they understand that this is a new product. So, etc. Then moving forward, there are other kind of people like early majority. They need real validation. They are not okay with any kind of trouble and then troubleshooting. They want a perfect product. They do not want to take any risk. So, even if there are 5 star by 10 guys, all 10 guys, they will see only 10 people have used it. I am not game for it. I want to see that there are so many hundreds of people have given their validation, only then they will buy. Even if they, suppose you are giving, suppose somebody mentioned that there is a bug, and company has already removed that bug, but they will be skeptic that, okay, there is a bug. So, I am not going to risk my business on this, because this is not a branded company like Microsoft, established credential. So, I do not want to take risk. And then there are other issues, like they want many features. They just do not want a kind of a standalone thing that is cannot be integrated with their legacy system or other system. So, they will have umpteen number of complaints. So, moving from early adopters to early majority is a real fight, and it requires real expertise and investment and adoption of new knowledge. So, you need a product with lot of features that fulfill all the requirements of early majority. Late majority are more skeptic. They will usually not adopt new products unless they have a compelling reason to use that. Laggard constitutes 16%. They normally will not adopt new product as long as another product is available. So, as long as they are okay with an existing product and that product is given support, they will not change. If the company that manufacturing the product will say that we are no longer going to support, perhaps they will switch. So, from here, actually the point that is to be understood is that a product, whatever great that is going to encounter challenges at every step, every stage of the product life cycle, product adoption cycle, technology and diffusion cycle. So, and there are umpteen number of complexities, particularly if you are thinking of developing a product, and then after you develop, you are looking for customers. That should absolutely be avoided, because it's, first of all, the development time is going to be huge. Second of all, it's very difficult to find a customer if you have a product. Rather, you should look for people with pain and then understand their pain, and then try to develop a product that fulfills or that alleviate the pains that you have targeted. Then you have people, the customers ready for you. But if you have a product and you are looking for customer, you never know how many years you are going to take to identify customers and then convince them that this is a product that alleviates their pain. Of course, there are success stories where people actually developed a product and then found customer and then became successful. That is a different story. But first thing is that taking long time to develop a product and then attracting innovator kind of customer, early adopters, then with difficulty you move to early majority. If you take several years to do this process, complete this whole process, by that time new technology will arrive in the marketplace and it is going to be very difficult to retain this customer, forget about acquiring new customers. So, to solve this problem of long product development cycle time, number one. Number two, to eliminate the uncertainty that uncertainty whether customers will buy your product. There is this lean startup philosophy or methodology that that people are nowadays adopting, and if you are really thinking of starting a startup, you must understand what is this lean philosophy, and then lean and agile philosophy, you must adopt that. Otherwise, if you follow a linear method of product development, like you have no idea whether customers are going to like your product till the time the product is ready in the marketplace, and then you realize that the customers are not liking it, this whole money goes down the drain. So, to avoid that, you onboard customer at the very beginning. Even before you think of developing a product, you stay with customer, empathize with them, understand their pain by suffering the pain, be part of that, like the thing that Rivigo did. We talked about the story in some sessions earlier. Rivigo was a relay truck system, truck TRUCK, meaning there are these two persons, one is Ghazal, another is Deepak, and Ghazal actually they both of them identified a problem about truck drivers. Truck drivers were not interested to take this job even if they were sitting idle, because truck driving was such a painful job. But then understanding the pain from the mouth of truck drivers would not have led to development of a wonderful solution that they actually did. What Ghazal did, she started moving with the truck along with the drivers. She empathized with them by suffering the pain, because she was sleeping in the truck, she was eating whatever food the drivers were eating, she was not getting connected with their home. Even if there are emergencies, she could not come back home because she was in the truck, and she could not leave the truck because she was trying to empathize. So, by suffering, this is the way you empathize, you suffer the same pain that your customers go through. So, you really get the pain, and then that is how you can perhaps come up with a solution that will be so very acceptable to the customers. And in the process, they came up with a relay system wherein a truck driver will start from one point, they will move to point 2 in 4 to 5 hours, where another driver will wait for him. So, the first driver will give the truck to the second driver, and the truck that the second driver was driving, it was heading towards this destination. So, the first driver will take that truck and come back, go home, spend the night with the family. So, this kind of an innovative solution in a very short span of time was possible, because they tried to empathize, not only empathize, they onboarded the customer at the very beginning, talked to them with the solutions, and then eventually it was successful. So, this book was this idea was espoused by Geoffrey Moore in his book of 1999, but ever since the book was there in the marketplace, marketers have adopted that as a chapter of marketing bible, and particularly this stays from early adopters to early majority. At this place, there is real problem that has been demonstrated by many failed stories as well as successful stories. We talked about Anki, robotics and artificial intelligence. They raised $200 million. They were building cutting edge robots for toys, and they were using artificial intelligence, so that children could play with the robot as if it is another human being. After raising $200 million and achieving a revenue of $100 million for successively for 3 years or so, and then selling about 1.5 million toys, the company shut shop. In fine morning they said, we do not have any more money to go ahead. This kind of things happened at this conjunction, from early adopters to early majority. They were stuck at $100 million turnover. That shows that they could not acquire a lot of customers from early majority, because the turnover was not their growth actually tapered to almost 0%, rather maybe negative, because early adopters also, once you satisfy them, then gradually you do not have new customers to acquire. So, they could not have strategies to move from early adopters to early majorities, and then after $200 million of funding, they and 200 employees, those were talented employees who were developing this cutting edge technology. In fact, they were planning to move into the matured artificial intelligence domain, the real robot that can replace in part a human in for some of the jobs. That was their target, but still they were not successful. So, though our discussion is about lean startup, let us just complete this discussion as to how to successfully cross this chasm. See, the problem of these chasms are multidimensional. First of all, you start growing from the innovator kind of customer to early adopters, then you may not have any idea of what kind of infrastructure you need when you grow to early adopters. You may have the similar kind of marketing people, similar logistics, similar infrastructure, similar customer service professionals, and then particularly you may not plan the huge amount of money that is going to be necessary for meeting your increased working capital. I mentioned earlier that you need working capital for maintaining raw material, maintaining goods in process, maintaining finished goods, and maintaining receivables. So, as the turnover goes up, you need lot of money. So, this lot of money may not be planned. Unless you plan early, then it takes about 6 months time to get funded. So, if your existing investors are not willing to fund further, then and if you do not plan 6 months ahead, one fine morning you find that money is not there anywhere and you have to shut down. Though you have all latest technology, you are the technology leader, but then that is the reality. So, meeting this growing need and the need that may appear moving forward, like you have say 100 customers. Now, maybe 10 customer representatives should be good enough to give them service. So, anytime there is a trouble, there are people to troubleshoot, and there are people to receive their question and give them answer. Suddenly your customer becomes 1000, and this 10 people will never be able to service this 1000, and then your customer service quality will deteriorate. Not only you will not satisfy this additional 900 customer, even the earlier 100 customer will be kind of demoralized, and eventually you will lose all of them. One fine morning you have no customer. So, it is very important that you plan for the growth. Then growth is growing at the beginning is one thing, developing a product, then going to market, achieve some growth is one thing, but managing growth is another thing, where you need a professional CEO. So, this is the time when one should relinquish responsibilities or control and then put a CEO. You have your own control on the equity, but then let the business process management be looked after by CEO. Most of the people, like we talked about Sophia Amoruso, she needed a CEO, but she did not really want to relinquish the control of business process management. So, she did not hire, and eventually she failed. Many startups failed because of this founder's dilemma, whether a professional can manage my business better than me is a question that most of the founders cannot answer realistically. They think that it's their baby and nobody else actually understands the business and nobody else can perform their job better than them. And then many people actually suddenly diversify into many things, because they think that okay, I have 100 customers with one product, if I have 10 products I have 1000 customers, something like that, and then eventually they realize very quickly that it was a fatal decision, and then finally they fail, just fail because of the diversification. It is always better to perfect your product, because early majority is going to demand perfection. Your early adopters may not demand that kind of perfection, that kind of aesthetic sense, that kind of packaging, whereas early majority are going to demand that. Without that they are not going to buy. So, you may not have any idea as to why they are not buying. Some people bought and there were nice growths, but now there is no growth, and in fact there are negative growths. So, you must focus on this perfection rather than diversifying. Then if you are selling more, then shipping becomes a problem, your logistic becomes a problem, warehouse becomes a problem. You have to preempt all those needs to be able to seamlessly move forward. Then there is business process management. Most importantly, this is not written in any of the books that I have referred to. Frugality is perhaps one of the single most important factor for success. Many entrepreneurs actually fail at this place. In particular, I will be talking about Anki Robotics and Artificial Intelligence. Many employees after their failure wrote clearly that these people burned cash left and right. If they would have become frugal, perhaps they could manage another 2 years with the same money. Just imagine, little bit of frugality would have taken them, sustained them for another 2 years. You never know, perhaps they would have enacted a very successful story by just being frugal. Many of the first generation entrepreneurs did not see $1 million in their bank account or their parents' bank account. Suddenly, when they find some tens of millions of dollars in their bank account, they think money is endless, there is no end to it, this money is never going to be exhausted. But when you are not thrifty enough, you are not frugal enough, money vanishes without you even noticing. One fine morning you see there is no money at all. That is what happened with Anki, that is what happened with many companies whosoever failed. You may have statistics that 42% of the startup fail because customers did not buy their product, something like 19 or 22% or 24% failed because they ran out of cash. Whatever statistics say, all 100% of the people who were not frugal, they failed. Reason may be they may attribute it to some other reason, like Anki may attribute their failure to competition, that robot came from China or something, but the fact is that they were not frugal, they were spending money left and right. So, there is so much to learn from this particular issue, and almost like there will be a 90% possibility of you failing if you are not frugal, and you can eliminate that 90% just if you are frugal enough. So, focus on this point if you ever want to become an entrepreneur. So, these are about technology diffusion and product adoption cycle. Now, this is a little bit of introduction which I will bypass. Change is happening so fast that you try to think of something today and tomorrow you find that somebody has already done, and change is happening everywhere. The existing status quo is being challenged by entrepreneurs day in and day out, and new entrepreneurs are challenging the existing business model. They are coming out with a new business model, and the old business model is dying a natural death. Talk about Trivago. Just now I mentioned Ola, Byju's, Paytm, they came up with new ideas and existing business is out of debt already. So, and existing mega business houses like Decathlon, they are kind of exploding and making way for new entrepreneurs with new technology. This particular slide shows how things have become uncertain as we moved from the middle of 20th century to the beginning of the 21st century. Everything has changed. Customer is demanding more quality, investors are demanding top grade performance, and people at large are demanding more ethical standard. So, things have changed. Look at the rate of death of Fortune 500 companies. In 58, a Fortune 500 company once become Fortune 500 company, they used to remain there for 61 years on an average. In 64, it came down to 33, and in 2027, it is projected to come down to 12 years. It may be even 10 years, you never know. So, a company which is becoming Fortune 500 today has the potential to remain so for about 10 years. That means, new challenge will come, new competitor will come, and then they will grow faster than these Fortune 500 companies, and then these companies will be out of Fortune 500. And look at the left side and the right side, they were who's who in corporate world, and on the right side new companies have come up, their Fortune 500 companies. If you want to, or maybe I would like to give you a broader perspective on change, how change is happening. From the Big Bang, it took 5 billion years for civilized human being to emerge. So, 5 billion years. Then it took 2,40,000 years for human being to become hunter gatherer, and from hunter gatherer to become agrarian, or to adopt agriculture as a way of life. That took 2,40,000 years. Then from agrarian economy to become industrialized, it took 10,000 years. And then from 10,000 years, it took only 200 years to disrupt all technologies that came up in the first 100 years. So, in the next 100 years, perhaps everything will be disrupted that you see today. If you ask your grandfather, grandparents, you will find that they never used to use the things that you use today, almost everything except the food and drink that we normally, that has not changed much other than ready made foods and all that, and online ordering and all that. But majority of the gadgets that we do, majority of the facilities that we enjoy today were not there. And moving forward, maybe within 100 years, somebody said this, David Grisham said, in the 20th century, the changes happened, occurred in the 20th century, perhaps is more than whatever changes that you saw during the whole 5 billion years. So, in the next century, perhaps you will see even more changes happening. These are changes that have already happened, and that is kind of happening, or it is in the process of happening. People are even talking about a virtual cloning of yourself, so that you can replicate yourself elsewhere. Suppose you have a robot of your type, your all intelligence given into that, it will perform almost similarly like as you do, except some very specific intelligence. Most of the activities that you do can be done by the same robots. So, things are changing so fast that God knows what is going to happen. Here is how population changed, and I would like to give you a perspective that with change of population, technology changed, or with change of technologies, population changed. Either of the two, or maybe both of them were complementary. Like when population started growing, there was a need for more food, more transportation, more communication. So, everything started changing, and then with that population was also started changing. Population was moving in a straight line for 10,000 years, and then suddenly there is a overshoot almost like perpendicularly. First of all, this is not sustainable, because normally there is in statistics there is a saying of mean reversion. Means the mean always revert, means anything, any natural phenomena or natural data, natural parameters, that always reverse to the mean. If that happens, then God knows how many people will be destroyed. More importantly, this is putting huge pressure on the biosphere. We are we are consuming our annual production in the first few months, and rest of the months we are actually somehow banking on various things, like we are trying to overproduce, over consume and then pollute the atmosphere. So, it is a diversion, but then it is a very important point that I would like to make, and this is going to define the future technology. Any point of time, if you want to sit back and try to understand or try to forecast technology as to what is going to be the new technology, what is going to emerge as the new technology, it is the survival of human being, it is the existential crisis of human society that will define what technology you need to innovate, and this technology will be innovated automatically. We have seen that necessity is the mother of invention. We have seen that the army, the military had always been at the forefront of giving us new technologies, because they have existential crisis. So, whenever we have existential crisis, that defines what technology we need, and that technology will emerge. So, if you are interested in technology forecasting, you should, rather than extrapolating from past development, it is better to understand the challenge that human beings are kind of exposed to or going to be exposed to, like this coronavirus. So, you can think that more research will be in this direction, because this is challenging our very existence. So, product development life cycle has to be reduced, and if you want to reduce product development life cycle, you cannot actually go in a linear process, that today you ideate, tomorrow you build a prototype, day after you make prototype, then refine them, then go to market, and then in the marketplace it is not accepted, you come back and then start all over again. You really have to get every stage customer validation. So, suppose you are in an idea stage, talk to the customer that I am going to build a product for you. Are you interested in this product? If they say okay, you build it, then we will see. So, that means you have a green signal, or if they say that yes, we definitely need this. Of course, you should be mindful that many a times if you are bringing a disruptive technology or a technology that the customers are not familiar with, many people will say I do not need that, I do not even understand what you are talking about. Many customers are not even aware that they have a pain. So, having said that, the majority or the mainstream technology development has to be done through customer engagement and customer validation at every stage. This is linear process. There is no validation, and then eventually you build it and then maintain, and many of the places you will find that it is not acceptable to customers. So, developmental money and all that will go down the drain. So, this is a process where you build and build, and then you go to market expecting a particular green line or curve is the curve that is your expected revenue, whereas the red one is the likely revenue, that means the product may actually fail. Alternately, you get validated at every stage, and you get validated learning, and then you launch this product. Chances are that you will actually achieve the kind of sales that you are projecting. The distinction between linear process and lean process is like this. In the linear process there is no validation. In the lean process, it is a lean actually is agile and lean combined together. The agile process came from software development, wherein they even before building a software, they will do a kind of a wireframing and then show it to the customer. Do you like it? They will say yes, or they will give some suggestion. So, with that knowledge you come back, you redesign, build it again, and then go to customer, show it to him some early prototype which has some basic features, not basic, but which has important features that the customer will attach value, and then get feedback from customer. Eventually you move forward this way. So, this process is called validated learning. You build something, show it to customer, learn, gather data, then you design again, redesign. In the process, through this cyclical process, eventually when you are ready with the finished product, chances are that customers will not say no to your product, because they were part of, they know that this product they need, this has been built based on their requirement, based on their demand. Lean system is combination of agile and lean manufacturing. Lean startup is the combination of agile system and lean manufacturing. Agile system is a system wherein you try to get engaged with the customer at every stage, meaning you get customer validation. You always try to understand that whatever we are designing, customers actually want this. And lean manufacturing is you try to reduce anything and everything without affecting customer value. Lean manufacturing says that you should eliminate everything that is there in a product, by elimination of which customers will not complain. Suppose you are using this product and there is some sticker at the back, and if the customer is not bothered about this sticker, suppose this sticker requires only 5 paisa to fix, lean manufacturing says that eliminate that, please do not keep it, because customers are not bothered about it, and by spending 5 paisa you are not adding any value to the product. If the customer complains, of course, that is different. So, if there are features in your product, elimination of which does not lead to customers complaining, then you should eliminate that, because customers are not bothered about it. That is also part of lean manufacturing. So, lean manufacturing and agile system together has become lean startup process. In lean startup process, there are some basic stages or basic ethos or philosophies. Like a minimum viable product is a philosophy, it is called minimum viable prototype or product. Minimum viable product is a product with minimum features that gives the customer maximum value proposition. Suppose you have a product which has 100 features. Now, you give only 10 features in a product which define your value proposition. So, that when customer have this product, then customers are going to understand that okay, you have these features which I like or I do not like. So, depending on that, you will be building more features into that, and gradually you will be making a complete product. So, first of all, you build a minimum viable product, take it to customer for validation, come back. So, when customer says yes, we need this, your hypothesis gets validated. For lean product development or for any product development, you have two hypotheses. One is value hypothesis, another is growth hypothesis. Value hypothesis says that whatever you are creating is of value to your customer, is superior value proposition compared to competitors. Growth hypothesis says that there are sufficient number of customers. If you build this product, then there will be adequate customer base for you to achieve growth moving forward. There is another thing called leap of faith. Leap of faith is something which is almost like a hypothesis, but you have no data to support it. So, you just make a kind of a blind hypothesis that people are going to use this manner. Like when iPod came to the marketplace, Apple had hypothesis that customers listens to music on the go, meaning that when customers are moving, jogging or traveling, they will be listening to music. Why this is hypothesis? Because this was already there, Walkman was already there. They had a leap of faith that customer will download music online and pay. That was not there anywhere. So, that is why that was a leap of faith, and it was proven that leap of this people actually downloaded, and that is how iPod became such a successful product. So, validation of your hypothesis at the early stage will save you a lot of money, time, resources, all that. It will actually, if you are not validating, it may actually break your company, it may lead to failure, because you will spend all your resources. So, there will be nothing to pivot. Validate your hypothesis, use the data for learning, avoid waste, and not only validate, you should use the lean manufacturing idea as well. Try to do everything at the minimum of cost, so that you save lot of resources. So, lean and agile together actually is going to give you so much competitive advantage at the early stage, even during development of the product, but you have to continuously keep that in mind throughout your business. A business, as long as the business remains, grows, because every time you have to innovate your business model to remain ahead of competition. Eric Ries wrote the book, and he has combined these two philosophies in that. And then how to validate, meaning you build a minimum viable prototype, take it to the customer, and the customers are going to tell you which features they like, which features they do not like. For example, suppose you are building a software or say a digital process of experimentation in school level for school level children. Now, you may build a complete product and take it to a school where there is no such infrastructure, and tell the faculty members or management that, look, I have a system using which you can actually simulate those experiments that other people are doing in real laboratories. That is fine, but then after experimentation, if they say that no, we do not like, your effort and money goes down the drain. Alternately, what you can do is you can copy paste from somewhere, meaning without really infringing upon somebody's IP, you just build something that kind of prove the concept. It is a proof of concept kind of a thing. Show it to children, and then if children think that wow, this is good, and the management says that why not? If you build it, we are going to buy. So, you can come back and build the product, and then it will be a successful story moving forward. I think we have this much. So, some references and big thank you.